I'm Brian Cannon, this is Microdot.
Thanks for coming back for part 2 in something we couldn't talk about prior to our last engagement.
It's good to be back.
Oh, it's great to have you back. And since then, I met you.
You did. We met.
I'll go into that a little bit later. I've still got the pass here. Funny enough. But you've come in today to talk about OASIS Live25 and everything that you've been doing since then, because last time there was a blocker on that, so you was like, we can't talk about it, and you're back now to tell me all about it.
Yep. So what do you want to know?
Well, first of all, everyone knows why you're here. Everyone knows why you were part of the new tour. How did that come about?
Well, what happened was, it was last December. I got a phone call from Noel Gallagher himself, personally. He didn't have to do this. And he totally caught me off guard because I hadn't spoken to him since the announcement had been made about the reunion. And he said to me, "What are you up to?" And I said, "Well, to be honest, I'm still reeling from the news that the band's back together." And he said, "Talking of which, can you play the drums?" And I was like, "Oh, very funny. No, I can't." And he said, no, I'm only joking. So whether you like it or not, you are designing the world tour program. So I was made up. I was absolutely made up. And I was only saying to somebody earlier today, actually, somebody went to Edinburgh last night, the gig there, and saw the merchandise. And that. The only one thing, other than the gig and the music, obviously, the only one thing that Noel Gallagher specifically got involved with and oversaw and took any interest in really was the tour program. All the rest of the merchandise, that was done by a third party, by the merchandise company. And he just kind of, yeah, whatever. But he actually was hands-on involved with it with me. And I think it shows as well, without blowing me on trumpet, I think all the merchandise associated with the tour, or all the rest of it, it's the best bit. So, yeah, he rang me to ask me to do the tour program last December. And it was just before Christmas, so we obviously had to get Christmas out of the way. Then I had a meeting I went down to London to meet with him in his studio. And it was just, we hit the ground running, really. I mean, we had to get it done by the end of May, and it was right up to the wire. I mean, I'll go into that with you later, but it was right, not my fault, right up to the wire. But we got it done, and it looks amazing, and I'm made up with it.
It does look amazing. I'm going to get it out in a minute. It's just behind me here, pride of place, under the Mike Live sign. We're going to go through this. So was there many years you didn't talk to Noel between before and now?
No, but I'd repackaged definitely maybe last year. I mean,
well, you did do that, yeah. But I don't know whether you was in touch with him or...
Yeah, and I did. I mean, I didn't do the sleeves in the noughties, but every now and again they wheel me out to work on something, an anniversary edition. So in 2004, I did the 10-year anniversary of Definitely Maybe DVD. 2014, I repackaged all the first 3 albums, the box set remasters. I did all that. Last year, I did the Definitely. That's why I was so surprised about the reunion news, because I'd spoke to him about it in his studio, and I didn't so much, I didn't say, "Are you going to get back together?" like everybody does. But the subject came up. And his response was, Noel Gallagher, his response was, "I'm fucking sick of it. I'm sick of going on about it." And, I just left it at that. I thought it's never going to happen. And he knew then that it was happening, right? So he's a remarkably good poker player, it seems.
Cheeky bastard.
So
Cheeky bastard.
So that's why I was absolutely gobsmacked when I found out that they were getting back together. I had no idea. But yeah, so I have been working with him on and off. You know,
you've recently just done the What's the Story as well, haven't you? Down on Berwick Street.
Yeah. Where we reshot the cover for that at exactly the same time on exactly the same day, but not. It was 29 years later, not 30 years, even though it's for the 30th anniversary, because it's 30th anniversary this October, and I think it was July the 23rd or something. And if we wouldn't have had time to do it and then manufacture it this year, so that we shot it last year on the. It's an
incredible shot, and it's an incredible idea where you've done it at the same time on the same day, that many years later.
Yeah, the reason for that was so we knew the light would be exactly the same, you know. And if you look at the actual shots themselves, if you look, I did a video of it. Lee, I don't know if you've met Lee. No, I don't think you have. Sort of my assistant at Microdot now. We videoed. He videoed me taking the shot at that time, and it's dark near enough. And the reason it seems light on the sleeve is because it's a long time exposure, and you can tell the street lights are still on. And the street lights. If you look at the original, it's the same. The street lights. Now those street lights in Berwick Street are on a timer, right? So I have no control over it. They go off as soon as it comes light, but they're still on the original and on the new one because it's pretty much dark. But I think it's a couple of second exposure, so that's how you get it to be so light. But yeah. And not just the amount of light, the light being in the same place. Do you know what I mean? It was exactly, the sun would have been in the same spot basically. So that was.
Did you feel like a moment of like nostalgia, or like a moment of fuck? I was here like nearly 30 years ago, and this is what I've done.
It was weird actually. It really was. And the only difference being on the first time we did it, it was on a Sunday. That's why we did it, because it was a Sunday to be quiet. This year, I don't know what, it was a Tuesday or something, but it was busier. I guess London's just busier than it was 30 years ago. And I remember on the first one, even though it was a Sunday morning, so it would have been after Saturday night, obviously, we didn't encounter anybody, but there's loads of people knocking about.
I can vouch for that. I go into London every single day of the week, and it is chaos every single, even if it's a weekend or the weekday, it's just mad.
It was mad. I mean, you get people, a lot of drunk people, and just people. Okay, every 5 minutes we're having to stop, but we got it done. And again, we were dead lucky because there was no cars in the street, because we went the night before to have a look at it, and I was like, oh shit, it's just full of cars. We did pick a motorbike up and move it, and we put it back when we finished.
You picked it up by hand?
Yeah, the two of us. We had to literally carry it out of shot because it was just. If it was in the distance, we could have lived with it, but it was just right in the fucking middle of the frame at the front. We just got to move it, and we inspected it just to make sure there's no alarm, nothing, no little red light flashing. Because like if the alarm goes off, we've had it then, haven't we? You know what I mean? So, but no, we moved it and we put it back when we finished.
Classic Microdot work there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. So when you also got a phone call to do the world tour program, which is incredible, and I'm going to dig it out. And what I'm going to do is, I'll show the picture when we're talking about it, but I'll put them in the video so people can see.
Yeah.
You've got every single tour date that Oasis has ever done.
Yeah.
Like in there.
Funnily enough, actually, the gigography, kind of from, I don't know, 95 onwards, well, 94 onwards, is dead easy. It's all documented. But the difficult bit is the day one to early 94, because there's loads of discrepancies. Because we did that in the Nebworth program, and the gigography up to that point. And if you look, it's changed. Now, obviously, they haven't done any more gigs in 93 since then, because that's gone.
Yeah.
But because, it just wasn't documented well. You know, so through extensive research, and I had a guy in America called Jonathan Perlin working on it, because he's like the #1 Oasis obsessive like the Beatles. What's that guy? Mark Lewison. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
You have Mark. He's like the equivalent of Mark Lewison, the Beatle brain of Britain sort of thing. But he's the Oasis version. So we had him on it, and we would you're always going to have somebody find fault with it, and there are a couple of mistakes that I've subsequently found out about. But not the early ones, just like really just daft mistakes that people pick, like we put the wrong country, like Vigo's in Spain, not Italy. I admit that one, right? But what we did was we set a rule that we would not put it in unless we could find some evidence that, you know, hearsay, like, oh yeah, if they played us, it was no good. So there is documented evidence for every one of those gigs that we found. So, but
it's incredible when you look at it.
It's the most accurate Oasis gigography produced to date, if not entirely accurate. I admit there's got to be some mistake in there somewhere, but nobody's done a more thorough job than we have on it.
This is why also people should own it, because it is like a document. It's like a pure document of their history.
Yeah.
It's not just like a normal tour program, which is like...
I mean, that was the first meeting that me and Noel had in January of this year, obviously. Was I said, look, but basically what happened was that the merchandise for the tour was the rights to it were bought by Warner Music. So I wasn't dealing with Oasis or Ignition or Creation as it used to be. It was Warner, so it's a whole new thing for us. And I said to them, can you send us some examples of previous tour programs that you've done? So they said, yeah, fine. So they sent us a big box of all sorts. And it didn't really matter who the artist was. It was from everything from Lewis Capaldi to Coldplay. There was Ed Sheeran. There was all sorts of tour programs, because not many bands do them these days anyway. And we thought the common denominator between them all was they're all just pictures of a fucking band that everybody's already seen. You know, that's it. Just a bunch of pictures of the band, usually put together in some sort of sloppy punk-esque style, you know, where they, you know, trying to make it look like a scrapbook or something. I don't know. And I just thought, this has been done to death. Since, you know, let's do something different. So that's where we were coming from. And I asked, the first thing I said to Noel, is there not going to be any new music? And at that point, who knows now, because everything's swimming again, he said, no, there's definitely going to be no new music. So I thought, this is going to be the closest we're going to get to do like an album package design for Oasis. So that's why the program is the same size as a 12-inch vinyl.
A record, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That was the idea behind that. The front cover, as I can see behind your head, and you'll show the people in a minute, obviously, is that famous campaign image for Live25. I would not necessarily have had that as the cover if it had been left entirely up to me. However, you know, there is some sort of corporate...
what would you have picked? What would you have picked, Brian?
I'd have done something new. I'd have done a new sleeve. But it just didn't happen for a number of reasons. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not like, oh my God, it's not. We didn't get to do it. It's a great shot. It's them. It's obvious. You know, sometimes obvious works. Had we had a bit more, under the circumstances, it works. But the thing was, you've got to understand how busy Noel was. I mean, to do that like a sleeve, it would have had extensive meetings and me going back, and he just did not have the time to devote to it. With Oasis, as I'm sure a lot of people realise, Noel gets to approve and oversee everything. So can you imagine? Everybody, his phone must have been going berserk. He must have had smoke coming off of it. It was literally people ringing, we need to this approve, we need that approved. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? He'd have been more in demand than the fucking Prime Minister leading up to the tour. So
I personally think the image, and we'll show it right now, it's got your signature on it. I think the image is great for like certain reasons as well. When obviously they announced they got back together last summer, and then Adidas released that campaign advert where they were first ever seen together. And it was like, holy shit, like it was that long 3.5 minute, 4 minute hair raising, absolutely hair raising. Like we all know how much obviously the band with the three stripes, blah blah blah. And it was the first time the brothers have been seen together. So it's just so iconic for this year anyway. But I think that is a statement in itself. I mean, like when you think about if you fast forward like 30 years, that image will be always there because it was the first shot of them back together.
What I wanted to do, though, you'll notice whenever you see that shot, it doesn't normally have the Oasis logo next to it, and if it does, it always says Oasis Live25, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was adamant that we didn't want the Live25 on it because that then makes it just even more corporately branded merchandise. I wanted it to look like a record, you're right. So that's why it was just the logo. That's an important distinction, I think, to not have that on there, even though it's a Live25 brochure. I wanted it to look like a record, not a piece of merchandise.
It was so funny that you say that because when you handed me this at Carnaby Street, and I went outside to have a smoke, and I was just by myself. People come up to me, "What's that? Is that a record?" And I was like, "No, it's not a record. It's the program. It's the program." And they were like, "I thought he'd give you a record." So it does sit in with that record thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the idea. It's meant to look like a record, and clearly it does.
So when we go about, like, everyone's talking about nostalgia these days with this tour. And I don't like to go along with, oh, yeah, it's about nostalgia because we're here and we're live and we're doing this now. But for you, on this world tour, we have Richard Ashcroft and we have Cast. And you've worked with both these artists extensively.
Yeah.
How was it for you? Because obviously you've gone to see Oasis on this tour. Did you get to meet up with Cast and Ashcroft again?
No, I didn't even see him either, to be honest. It's funny, actually. You know, it's like, I know it's this amazing thing, but I've never liked big gigs, and how can I put it? I don't drink anymore as well. I don't really feel comfortable in big crowds anymore, you know, so I'm not the best person to ask about the gigs, really, because I didn't go to I went to see Oasis because who wouldn't if given the opportunity, but I didn't see any of the support acts. But I've seen them all three of them, hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times combined anyway. But no, like I say, I'm just not a fan of massive gigs, but I know there's no other way of doing it now.
Was it quite nice to know that they were supporting? So it's like these artists that are all like packaged in that sort of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people kicking off. Oh, it should have been some younger bands to give some younger bands a leg up and a chance. Bollocks, man. You know what I mean? It is a nostalgia fest, of course it is. You know, and I don't really think. I mean, who would you have had supporting Oasis? Richard Ashcroft and Cast are ideal for the job. You know,
They are
absolutely ideal for the. It couldn't have picked two better acts or artists. You know, new bands, nonsense. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. And I'm not saying there's no new bands who are any good. I'm not saying that at all. But this is a different thing. It's not a normal gig. It's fucking Oasis live in 2025, and as it's proven. You know, they're absolutely mustard. They've blown everybody away. No, they've silenced all the critics. They've been absolutely fucking red hot. You know, it is truly amazing what they've pulled off here. Even they themselves are surprised by it, and I know that for a fact. You know, they're like, "Wow, it exceeded everybody's expectations," and that's coming from the band. So everybody's made up with it. You know.
So how? I mean, obviously, everything you just said there. Obviously, they would probably go, "Fucking hell! I can't believe how much this means to people." I've seen so many people that are taking their children or like, and it means so much to these kids as well, and they're all over it. So has that had like a massive impact on Microdot? Because obviously, people want to have some memorabilia. People want to be a part of. I mean, like I'm the same. And I was there the first time round, so I know Microdot and I love the artwork. And has it really impacted like business? Is it really helped? Have you seen people in the shop that are younger that are really blown away by it?
Well, I mean, sales are obviously up, but you've got to bear in mind though that this band never waned anyway. You know, you know, I'm in the business of selling my work, which is predominantly Oasis related stuff. So sales have always been good. Since the announcement of the reunion was made, it's gone bananas. And yeah, you can tell. I mean, again, it's not just because of the tour that lots of younger people are involved. I mean, I often, when people buy stuff, one thing we pride ourselves on is it's the bespoke nature of what we do, right? So you can buy a print or a T-shirt or I'll sign anything you want. You know, if you're buying it off, because I'm flattered that you'd want me to sign it. And I often get people, can you put this request or this message on? And you would not believe how many happy 15th, happy 14th, happy 18th. You know, birthdays that all coincide with these people being born before the records came out. Sorry, after the records came out. So yeah, it's evident that there are loads and loads of people who weren't even born when Definitely Maybe came out who are massive fans. And there's very few bands pull this off that cross that generation. The Beatles are the only other massively famous example of it, whereby that's why it'll keep going forever now, because there's kids of people who were there the first time who will then put their kids onto it. And it's just going to keep going forever. And it's very rare that bands do that cross generations like this. So yeah,
absolutely.
And this tour can only you know magnify that, can't it? So
have you been contacted by any other new bands and stuff to do their artwork because of this?
I get it all the time, yeah, all the time. And I very rarely accept just because I don't have time to do it, or I've got to be really excited about it to want to do it, because it's not about the money. It was never about the money, you know. That's not the point. I couldn't do a good job if I wasn't really into it. So if I'm not really into it, I wouldn't do it. And I'm that busy. I'm doing all sorts of other stuff anyhow. And I want to get, like I said, this past 12 months has been put on hold because of the Oasis reunion and all the rest of it. So I've been concentrating on that. And I've been working with Oasis this year. First half of this year, I was doing that program, because we'll go into that in a minute. And, you know, it wasn't just a case of slapping together some pictures that were took 30 years ago. Far from it. It was a massive project in itself. So, no, I haven't. The last band other than Oasis that I worked with, the Lathams, I did that, but that was a couple of years ago now. So, no, I haven't done anything for a while.
Yeah, we spoke about the Lathams. Have you got any like super fans off the back of this? Like, I want to buy everything. I want to do everything.
Say that again, sorry.
Have you had any like super fans off the back of obviously this tour where they're like, I'm going to buy absolutely everything? So you've got to ship out loads to like some places.
Yeah, but you know, it's not as a result of this tour. We've had fans of Microdot for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, of course.
You know, I mean, I've just launched this T-shirt, everybody. This is available now on the Microdot website, the official new Microdot. I mean, I'm astounded how well sales have done. You know, I really am, because it's basically people saying to me, we think Microdot's cool enough to walk around with it on a T-shirt, right? And yeah, we've sold considerably more than I thought we would. So yeah, I'm very.
Like I said before, I think Microdot is important to so many people. It is exactly what you do. So let's get into the tour program. So we've explained obviously the front cover.
Yeah.
And I'll put these up. And what's really nice as well about this is that you had Jill on here.
Well, the only people who's involved in it is Simon, who took the front cover, which was given to me. No disrespect to Simon, it's a great shot, but I've never met him and I don't know him. But that was given to us by Warner's. So the rest of it is just me and Jill. And Jill, I think there's 6 of Jill's pictures in there, and all the rest is mine. So if we start from the beginning, that opening page shot, I thought the double spread. Go on.
Let's go. This is the first shot.
Right, we've been through that. So the next page. Next page here, I just thought that summed it all up. It's basically taken in 1997 by Jill at.
And here we are. This shot.
Yeah, that's taken in 1997 by Jill at Air Studios, which was George Martin's studio in Hampstead. And it's during the recordings of Be Here Now. And I just love it. You can just hear him. Liam's there going, yeah. I can just hear him saying it.
There he is.
Noel's just chugging on a bottle of beer going, whatever. And the other guy in the picture is actually Owen Morris. And I wanted to get Owen in because
Owen's down here, look.
yeah, because he produced the first 3 records, and I think his role in the whole project is massively underappreciated, because without him, it wouldn't have sounded anything like that. So that's it. Then we get into the band and the equipment, and I just wanted one classic headshot of each.
And here we are. We've got Noel and his equipment.
Yeah, and then all the equipment. I'll tell you a funny story about this. All the equipment was shot on the same day in Noel's studio in King's Cross area this year. So I went down with Lee, and we got all the equipment was Noel's guitar tech, Scouse Mick. He set it all up for us. But you'll notice in there on Liam's page, it's a picture of Liam, which Jill took in Glasgow in the 90s, facing his mic stand, right?
Well, so this?
Yeah, right. So
this is Jill's shot of him facing his mic stand, which is here.
The mic stand, that was initially going to be a pair of maracas, which was shot in the studio.
Fantastic.
When we sent it for approval, he's like, no, it's got to be my mic stand. I'm like, right, okay. And then I got a message, and this was literally a couple of days before deadline, this. And it's not going to be any old mic stand. It has to be his mic stand with his mic. I'm like, fucking hell. Because we're based up, I mean, I'm up here in the Lake District, where I near Scotland, near enough. And I got a phone call from his tour manager, and he says, right, I'm going to get on a train. He's in London. I'm going to get on the train at Euston and come up to the lakes with the mic stand. So he did. He got on the train with the mic stand and the mic. I met him at Oxenholme Station. We whipped him to my studio, spent 20 minutes taking that shot. Emailed it to Debbie and Liam, who were in France at the time, at Liam's house, chilling out. He approved it. Then the tour manager went back on the train to London with the mic stand. So that's how that was done.
That's fucking mad. Like, so how long has he used that mic stand for? Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't know anything. The equipment side of things, I didn't know anything about it. You know,
I've never seen someone say that the mic stand is their instrument. Do you know what I mean? So that's fucking awesome to see that.
Well, if you look at it, it's not just like a regular. The base of that weighed a ton. He had to bring it all the way from London as well. But
let's just have a look there.
If you look at any stage shots of him on this tour, he will have that exact same setup. Right?
Good man. It's one of this is why they're like historical. I mean, we've got Bonehead here with Jill's shot and your shot.
All the band shots are taken by Jill, and everything else in there is done by me. So that was.
So there's the Riviera. Yeah, we all know Bonehead. And you've done a print of this, haven't you? The actual Riviera before.
Well, that's the old. Do you know that Bonehead only ever played that one guitar on every Oasis record and at every Oasis gig? That's the only guitar he played.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But that's what you expect from like legends as well. You don't really expect them to just be changing up their instruments all the time. Like it becomes legendary. Do you know what I mean? Like if you could get hold of Bonehead's Riviera, then wow, there's only one.
Yeah, that's it. It's the only one. That's it. It's all it's used.
And then we've got Gem.
Yeah, and he's
Lopez.
Yeah. So and that was it. So all the equipment was shot on the one day in London, apart from the mic stand, which had to be ferried up to the Lake District. And then what comes next? Oh, I think it's go on. What's after the band in there?
Well, we've got Andy Bell.
Yeah, I love the way you can see through the cabin that at the top. You see that? You can see through the mesh.
Yeah,
it's like it's an open backed head.
I was surprised to see Andy Bell didn't have a Burns London base.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I photographed those as well in America actually on a previous job.
You did with that guy that's like the collector.
Yeah, Brian Garcia. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
This, I particularly really love this. Can you explain this shot?
That idea there was, it's meant to be a sleeve for a record that didn't have a sleeve, Fade Away. And I love that song, Fade Away. And the lyric, the dreams we have as children fade away. And it's so true, isn't it? That,
it's a beautiful song. I love that song.
Dreams you have as children fade away. And it's true, isn't it? That a lot of people or society beats out the creativity of children, basically. That's what you're getting at, right? So that there is what I would have done for the sleeve for that record. And it's a young kid called Oscar Boland, and I go watching Celtic with his dad. And that is taken on the edge of like a council estate just outside of Glasgow called Erskine.
Let's just see this shot, because
yeah.
Sorry, Brian, because I've got to talk for the camera to go onto it. Right. That is fantastic. That looks just like an Oasis sleeve.
Well, it is. It's just that it's in the programme. You know what I mean? It is.
That's why I loved it. I was like, what the hell? That's amazing.
So, and he isn't throwing that globe. So it's obviously, it's meant to represent the globe off the front of Definitely Maybe, you know, the whole world in his hands. He's dressed the same way as the school kid was on the front of the master plan. So it hints at other Oasis records as well. And
I like the fact that the globe is a little bit sort of
deflated,
deflated, it's a bit ruffled and it's a bit deflated, like how we all feel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all meant to be. But that's not. He's not throwing that up. That's actually dangling off a fishing wire off of a pole that we're holding it above his head.
So, are you selling that as a print?
No,
never.
Not that particular image. Maybe some outtakes from that session.
That would be incredible. That is so good. I love that. It was really nice to turn it over and see something like that, and I was like, "Yeah, that's Microdot. I know that."
Yeah,
it's easily identifiable, isn't it? So we spoke about obviously these are the gig pages where you have all the dates. What was in the background of the map?
That is a photograph or photographs of the actual globe that was used on the front of Definitely Maybe.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah, Phil Smith still got it. Phil Smith, the band's roadie.
Yeah.
We got it off of him. And that in the background of all those dates is the actual globe off the front of Definitely Maybe.
No way. I'm glad I asked the question, because I was a bit like...
Yeah, I am glad as well, because I'd forgotten that bit myself, actually.
I was like, wow, like... So if we can just like zoom in a little bit, like you can see, like we've got like Knoxville, Florida, Current, Washington, like all there. Colorado, it is all around the world.
Yeah.
This is what it says: all around the world, 1991 to 2009. Their whole career prior to Live 2025.
Yeah.
And this is the bit I was going to talk to you about. I love this. So as we go past 25 venues that Oasis played, from the Boardwalk 1991 to rehearsals for Oasis Live 25, all photographed in 2025 by you.
Yeah. Not just in 2025, in 6 days in 2025, right?
You've done this in 6 days?
Yeah, this is fucking unbelievable, this, right? I get a phone call from Noel right towards the end, right? Right towards the end of the whole project. And he's like, we've got a problem here. I said, what's that? He says, because what we had for 20 odd pages or whatever it was, there was just like a visual history illustrated with bits of memorabilia, all stuff, you know, relevant stuff for the years. Because I couldn't get hold of him and because we couldn't discuss it, that's why I just had to do something. And he's like, it ended up getting used in the VIP exhibition at the gig, so it did get used, right? But it's like, no, everybody's seen it. You know, we want something different. And I sort of said, well, everybody hasn't seen it. Loads of these kids these days haven't. He said, even still, I want something different. Then his idea initially was to sort of pad it out, not so much pad it out, but break it up a bit by having some pictures of some of the venues that they played at back in the old days, right? Mixed in with this memorabilia thing that I'd already done. I said, well, that ain't going to work because the program's 50 pages, so we can't add to it. We've just got to take some out. And with that illustrated history, it's an all or nothing kind of thing. You can't take a bit of it out, you know. So that all had to go. So I had 25 pages to fill with with a week or so to go. And he says, when's it have to be done by? I says, Friday. And then he says, we can't do that. He says, and this is classic Noel Gallagher. He says, give it half an hour, right? So sure enough, he rings back half an hour later and he says, I've got an extra 10 days. Right. So I thought, wow, okay, fair enough. So then I thought, well, what we're going to do here then? Because we can't do just a couple of Right, okay, Live 25, I know, will photograph 25 venues that they played at. And he said as well, it can't just be England, it's got to be Scotland, it's got to be Ireland. He mentioned that, you know. So I had to plan an itinerary, quick sticks. And what we did was, the very first day, we drove down to Manchester via Blackpool, and on the fly, I'm ringing up at these venues in advance to try and get some access, because a lot of them were not even venues anymore.
I was going to say, some of them are not even venues. How the hell did you?
Well, what we did was we set off on the road, me and Lee, crack of dawn, because, like I said, we live properly far north. We live virtually in Scotland.
You live in the sticks.
We had to we drove to Blackpool, did Blackpool Tower Ballroom, not Tower Ballroom, Empress Ballroom. Then we drove to Manchester, and within a very small space, you've got Hacienda, which is a block of flats. The GMEX, which is still the GMEX, did that. The Boardwalk, which is offices, but it's the same building, so we did that. Hop and Grape at Manchester University did that. The Centre Circle, which was at Main Road, is like, it's still there, but it's in a housing estate.
I love that. I love the Centre Circle. I love that.
Did that. Then we drove to North Wales and did Buckley Tivoli, which is amazing because it's still a venue. I was at the gig. Have you seen that footage that's just come out recently, backstage at that gig? It came out last week, where Noel refers to me as the sixth member of Oasis. It's fucking incredible. That's at that gig. Then on the way back north, we stopped in at Liverpool and did the Lomax. So that was day one. We did all those. Then the following day, we flew to Cork, did the Parc y Cuivre, which is the big Gaelic football stadium. Then we got the train to Dublin. Then we had an Oasis fan over there we know called Gareth pick us up, and he drove us to Slane Castle. Then we drove up to Belfast. Then we flew back home. Then we drove up to Glasgow. And this just went on for 6 days constantly. All them shots were took. So that was Loch Lomond, King Tut's, the Tram Shed in Glasgow. Then we drove back home. Then we drove down to South Wales.
You've got like the 100 Club here.
Yeah, Bristol. We did the Glastonbury Festival. We had to go to B&Q and buy high-vis vests because they were building. Glastonbury was being built at the time. It was in May.
I did wonder. I wondered about the Glastonbury shot. I thought, was that the latest for the Glastonbury Festival this year?
Yeah. It was May. They were all done in the same. They were all done.
But that's Glastonbury there. Look, that's the pyramid there.
The pyramid stage is up all year round, but they only put the skin on over the top right towards the end. But we had, obviously, you just couldn't walk up to that. We had to get passed up and all the rest of it. We had to have the high-vis vest on to get into that. Then we drove across after that, all the way across country to Nebworth, and 6 days, did a lot.
That's fucking mad. You was round the corner from me down in Stevenage, near obviously Nebworth Park. That's literally round the corner. But
yeah, we stopped at the Prep in Stevenage.
What an absolute chaotic time that must have been. But
no, but it wasn't though. Do you know why? It wasn't chaotic. Far from it. And I didn't feel under pressure. And I'll tell you for why. Because all the stress that I've been going through all year, but is he going to like this? Was he going to think of this? Is this going to get approved? There was a final vision at last. There was direction. There was cohesion to what we were doing. I knew exactly what we wanted. Oh, the last shot as well was in rehearsals. We were the first people led into the rehearsal space. And you know,
let me just show that, Brian, just for the fans. I'll put these on like clearer shot, but this is for Live 25 rehearsals, and that's fucking mad,
isn't it? So we drove to London and did that right at the very end. But no, the only bit of pressure I felt was there's a couple of venues that we had to get into the 100 Club because I love that stage and the Pistols have played and all the rest of it. So it was just getting a bit of clearance to get in, and Nebworth was a bit of a pain in the ass. They had to have insurance to get in there. I mean, photographing a field for God's sake. But
what, at Nebworth?
Yeah, they were the only people who were a bit uppity, but they let us in, so fair enough, fair play to them. I mean,
it is Batman's house, isn't it? Yeah, Nebworth House is Batman's house, isn't it?
It's incredible. So no, rather than being chaotic, it was very structured and organised. I mean, there was a lot of driving. I mean, we're in the UK, we did over 1,000 miles in a week, but everything ran for us. It was that spell at the end of May where there was not a cloud in the sky for 2 weeks. It was amazing. So the weather was with us. We never got stuck in any traffic. Everybody let us in. Everybody was dead kind to us. The pictures are fucking brilliant. I love them.
The pictures are stunning. They are perfect. They are absolutely perfect.
So yeah, it all came together right at the very end, and yeah, I'm very pleased with it.
What is next for Microdot?
What is next?
Are you going to do the documentary yet?
Who knows? One day. What we're doing next? Well, do you know what? Immediately, I'm going to America in a fortnight. I'm going to see Oasis in Chicago. And then me and Lee and Raymond, whose kid is in the book, you know, Holding the Globe.
Yeah.
Me and Lee from Microdot and that kid's dad. We're going to watch Oasis in Chicago. Then we're doing a road trip around the States, and we thought it'd be interesting. The first day of the trip, setting off we're driving from Chicago to New York, right? We've got a one-way car hire. But we thought it'd be interesting if on day one, we drive 1,000 miles in the wrong direction. So that, I'm not joking. That's literally what we're doing.
You're a fucking lunatic, but I love it.
Listen, it's a true story, this, and there'll be photographic evidence of this. I looked on the map. I thought, well, driving in America, it's not like driving here. Once you get into town, there's just open roads, there's no on them. You're in a big SUV, it's dead easy. There's 3 of us driving. We can swap the driving around. We can easily 330 miles each, piece of piss. And I looked to the west of Chicago, which is exactly the wrong way to New York. 1,000 miles to the west is Mount Rushmore, which I've always fancied seeing. So we're going to hammer it and drive to Mount Rushmore on day one, and then we're going to drive back to New York. So that's the first thing that we're doing. I've got my own little photo projects on the go as well, one of which disused gas station I started on the southern road trip. So I'm going to, it's basically pictures of disused gas stations in America. So I'm going to be doing that while away, and hopefully that will become a book project one day. So I'm doing that. I've got another Oasis-related book project that I don't want to talk about at the minute. But
we got to do a third one now.
Yeah. Oh, you'll love it. You will love it. And it's proper. It's right up your street. Obsessive train spotter shit. You know, you will love
it.
What else are we doing? I've not had time to think because, you know, we moved into our new studio just about a year ago, just before the announcement was made. And I'd invested in a load of framing equipment and this big, bought this fine art printer. It's the size of a piano, literally. Quite literally, this printer, the size of a piano, to print these big art, you know, fine art prints of my work and that. But just not had a chance to do anything with it because it's just been full on Oasis all year. But when it inevitably dies down somewhat, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's pretty much nailed on that they're going to be doing more gigs next year. But I think the hullabaloo of this year will have died down. You can't keep this intensity up forever because the novelty is going to slightly wear off, isn't it? You know. But obviously there'll be loads of Oasis stuff, loads of my own stuff, loads of travelling about, just, you know, good, wholesome Microdot fun.
So where can people get that T-shirt, Brian?
Microdotboutique.com, exclusively from us. This is it. Show your appreciation for your favourite design outfit. Simple as that. And I'll send you one.
I'll give it away. I'll give it away. I
want you to wear it. I need you to be walking around with this. Never mind giving it away. I'll give you one.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Brian, just very quickly. There was a video of you looking at this.
Yeah.
And flicking through it and saying, after Cardiff, we're going to talk about it.
What, sorry? After what?
After Cardiff, we're going to talk about this.
Yes, well, I haven't done it yet, have I? Because I haven't had time. But yeah.
Are we going to be seeing you dissect this whole thing?
Well, yeah, you've got an exclusive. You can put it out there first. I mean, I'll go into it in more depth, but you get this out there, and I'm sure this video will do very well because people lap anything up Oasis that's exclusive and new and unique, which this is.
Of course, and you are a legend and a scholar and a gentleman, and everyone that I've put out our video to was so, you know, they were so kind about everything we've done before. Obviously, because you're such a great person, mate, and thank you so much for taking some time today to give me an exclusive. And also, just actually, very quickly, we didn't talk about it. I nearly closed the show then. how on earth did this come about? The Carnaby Street, or the band with the 3 stripes, Live25.
Yeah.
I know your friend Lawrence Watson has done this as well.
Yeah, well, I came. There's a guy called Gary Aspden who basically runs the Special Adidas Special sub brand, and he just called me out of the blue saying, "Would I be interested in doing like a Q&A mini one-night exhibition in London at the Adidas shop on Carnaby Street?" I said, "Yeah, of course I would." It happened dead quick. I got all me. I mean, all the stuff was already framed. You know, the studio we've got here is like a gallery all the time. So we just packed it all up and sent it to London for the night.
It was amazing. The actual exhibition was amazing.
Yeah.
The Q&A was amazing. It was presented by Fenners.
Yeah.
You were sublime that night. And it was so amazing to see so many people with different ages. It was packed wall to wall, but the vibe was so fucking lovely. In a world that's on its knees. Do you know what I mean? This is what I keep saying about Oasis.
Yeah.
We're all struggling. Everything is really shit and really powerful and really like down. And then you put these little things out. I mean, I come running across after work and wall to wall, good vibes. Everyone was really loving each other and really had a good time. And I met you, and you was exactly how I thought you'd be. Just such a gentleman, such a nice guy.
Well, you know, it's not rocket science, is it? It's nice to be nice, and you know, I mean, and I say we, I include the band in this. We're all still just pinching ourselves that this is actually took off and everybody loves it. We're all just, you know, a bunch of working class lads from the north who've done well, and why wouldn't we be nice? You know, we're all in a very privileged position, and we thank everybody for the support and their interest. It's been amazing.
That is probably what I'm going to end on, because what a great soundbite to end on. That is fantastic, and you've always been so kind to me. You've always been so kind to all your fans, and thank you so much for coming on today to talk about this. This is incredible. I know we couldn't talk about it last time, but you've given me so much more to be able to share with fans and people that are like-minded. Do you know what I mean?
Excellent. Well, that's what it's community. That's what it's all about. And like I said, I'm flattered that people are interested, and yeah, long may it continue. Thank you, Brian, and thanks for coming back in. And I hope to see you soon. Yeah, we'll do more of these because I enjoy it and you're interested, and it's dead easy, and you know we get on, so it's all good. Yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Keep being fucking awesome, mate. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Thanks a lot.